Hey everyone, Mylin here with Sodat, and today on Sodat we are going to make a simple, easy zipper pouch. You can make them at all sizes, all shapes, all kind of fabrics. This is one for example, and then this one. Simple and easy. I added some binding right here just to make it pretty on the outside. This is a longer one. This is a regular size one, different sizes and shapes. These are beginner friendly, 100%. All you need is 4 squares that look the same, 2 exterior fabrics and 2 lining fabrics. And then a zipper. I'm gonna show you how to make a nice zipper area with the zipper tabs. It'll fold really nicely on the sides. So let's get started. Okay, I have here, this is some vinyl. This is a square that is 9 1/4 by 7 1/4. I have 2 of those, okay? 2 cutout squares and 2 linings that are the same exact size, okay? So you need 4 pieces of fabric. I have a zipper, really cute pink zipper. And I have my zipper tab prepared already, and I'm going to show you how I do this. I have one tab on, I haven't sewed it yet, and one tab off because I need to put my zipper. Not know how much this is. This square is 2 1/4 by 2 1/2, okay? And what I did was, you can see this is it long ways and this is it sideways. So I took it and I folded in 2 small sizes in. Then I took it sideways, folded those raw edges in, and leave a little space, and then it folds over again right onto your zipper. You sandwich that into the zipper like so. Sandwich it in, and you could just clip that, but I haven't done that yet because I need to add my zipper, so I'll go ahead and do that right now for you. I have zipper tape. Now this is what I wanted to show you. You have to make your zipper a little shorter. I'd say 1 inch shorter on each side. So let me take the zip tab off to show you what I mean. This is our exterior fabric. If we hold it up to the fabric, it's just a little bit shorter on both sides. See, I have it about 1 inch to 1 1/4 inches. You want your zipper to be shorter than your exterior panels. So just whatever your zipper's going on needs to be shorter on both sides. And when you add the zip tab, it's going to be right on the edge of this. It's going to make maybe bulge out like it's. You can measure it yourself to get the actual length of your zipper. This is a number 5 zip. All right, so I just stick it in on both sides, get it in there. And so now I'm going to add my other zip tab. All raw edges folded in, and you can honestly fold it either way. You don't have to necessarily fold it the way I did, as long as you come out with the same outcome, same results, you'll get it either way. So like hand crank sew this on my machine, because I do have a Janome HD 5000. It is a heavy duty, but it's not as great as an industrial, so it's kind of complicated going over these. So I'm just going to hand crank it all the way down, then press the reverse, and I'll show you how I do that. So now you see, once we sew that together, you okay? Then it'll be a little bit on the edge, and we're going to make that even when we sew it together. And you'll notice how nicely this helps your zipper pouch fold over. So let's go to the machine. Ma'am, don't be rude. That's my daughter. We're gonna sew a straight line across here. This is the sewing machine I have. This is the Janome HD 5000 Black Edition. Love it, love it, love it. I really love this part up here. I can put all my feet right here. I got white thread in to match with the white vinyl. So let's get started. I'm at my machine, and now we're going to sew a straight line close to the edge, like 1/8 away from the inside of the zipper. So right here, as close as we can to the inside part of the zipper. Take it the best you can, hold it in place, slowly slide it under to the spot where you want. This can be pretty tricky with certain cottons that you use. All right, and we want to place it down in place a little bit, not right on the edge of our fabric, okay? Especially when you're using a domestic machine, these humps can get scary. So what I do is I crank my wheel down first, okay? Get it in there. Then I'm going to hand crank it, okay? I'm gonna hand crank it, and I may also need to use my leather square that I have thickened up to use as a hump jumper, and I will show you how if it makes me do it. All right, it's going. We're getting to the zipper, and it's gonna get a little hard because it doesn't want to sew over that, but looks like we're doing good, okay? And I'm just hand cranking it all the way down, nice and slowly. That way I know it's not gonna mess up. I can guide it as it's sewing. And once I get to the end, now this is also, you should, some people don't like to reverse a lot. They reverse like one stitch and that's it when they back stitch. I like to reverse a lot, so I know how to go reverse straight for a while. So we're just going to go and press reverse and slowly let it go back over that same line. And then we're done. And you pretty much back stitched it. Okay. Now let's repeat that on the other side. Put it where I want it, in, and hand crank it. This really helps to get over that zipper and also helps you to remain straight. Slow and steady wins the race here. Zip tabs can be your worst enemy, but they're such a good clean finish on the edge. Alrighty, and now I got 2 zippy tabs on my zipper. Next now step. I have here my 7 1/4 by 9 1/4 outside. Okay, now we're gonna place our zipper, and when it opens, we want it to be on the left side. Okay, we want it to be opened. When it's closed, the zipper should be on the left side. Okay, we're gonna put that, this is the zipper, right side down. Okay, and we're gonna line that up in the middle. You can find your middles like this, fold it in half, and you can mark where your middle is at, just so you can know. Just make a little line right there, so you know that's your middle. You can do the same thing with your zipper. Fold it in half. And just do it right on the very edge. You're gonna sew right over it. Nobody's gonna see. So I put a little mark. Face down onto the fabric, okay? Onto the front exterior fabric at the top. Find your middle, right side down. Because when we sew it, it's gonna have that finished edge. So put that down right in the middle, middle to middle. Flip it down. Now, when we sew this, we're gonna sew this at 1/8 of an inch, as close as we can to the edge, in a straight line. And we're just gonna, girlfriend, and we're just gonna base this right into place. And when we do our lining, we're gonna do it at 1/4 of an inch. That way, at 1/4, that way we'll catch both and you won't see the stitching of this. So let's go sew this at 1/8 of an inch. You wanna catch your zipper tab, that's how I do it. And sometimes I just hand crank it again, just because it's really thick. The fabric I used was thick cotton. Whoops. All right, next step. Now we have our outside fabric on. Now let's add our lining. We're gonna make a sandwich. Take your lining and right side down. Place that. Meet up all your edges. I like to start in the middle by clipping, just so I know, and you don't want it to get bunched up. Sewing the zipper can be complicated if you haven't done it before. This is why I actually sew it like this, because you could put them together and sew straight down, But when I do that, my lining always gets crooked. So I do one at a time, 1/8. Ma'am. All right, now let's sew that at a 1/4. Right here, what I like to do is I like to feel for where my zipper is at. First, I'm gonna pull my zipper down some. All right, I like to feel where the zipper tape and the zipper starts at because you want to stay within that range. So that's why I say about a 1/4 because that's about how wide it is. We're just gonna sew over that zipper tab. Get right there on the lining, close to the zipper. You can use a zipper foot. I just use my regular foot while actually using a Teflon foot because I use a lot of vinyls. But you definitely want to probably use a zipper foot. I'm just so used to doing it like this. Back stitch at the beginning and the end. And now we have this lovely first side of our panel done. Flip it over and you can start to see it come to life. The girl is crazy. All right, we want to fold this over. I like to just give it a good press. You can press it if you're using all cotton. I would definitely advise doing that. You can never go wrong just pressing everything. But because I have vinyl and lining and I do these a lot, I'm pretty used to it. But I'm just going to show you, you know, for beginners. And you can clip it down right here just to get it nice and even. And then we're going to top stitch this at whatever you're comfortable with, honestly. I always do it at about 1/8. Thank you, baby. And you want to always make sure your lining's very, very close as you can, evenly with the top, see? And it should fall into place. It should feel really good in your hands when you're doing this. It feels like it just comes together so nicely. It really does, especially when you do it perfectly. I'm going to go up to like a 3.5. You always want to do a bigger stitch length when you're top stitching, especially if you're using thicker fabrics. It looks nicer, it looks professional. And because it's so thick, you really need to do it anyways. Because you're going over so many layers. All right. And now we have one side complete. Look how stinking cute the pink is going to look with the silver. Oh, it looks amazing, y'all. All right. Now we're going to repeat that. I'm going to show you how I do it. Like I said, we're taking our zipper and we're doing it face down. So this is the front. We're going to take the front of our other panel, the shiny side, and we're going to face down, okay? We're going to get those edges to be perfectly flush and even. Go ahead and stitch that down at 1/8. Again, right there close to the zipper. Okay, now I have that second panel on. Now you're going to take your lining. The pink side is my lining. Right side down again, sandwich it together. Make sure you're nice and flush on both sides. Pin from the middle first. Catch a few on the edge. And if you need to, you can put more. So again, we have our lining and our front panel on both sides. Now we need a top stitch. Go ahead and press it down. I like to press it from the lining side with the zipper closed. It makes it easier. Get that lining pressed down, because usually linings are made of softer fabrics. I do use a lot of waterproof canvas because it's really good. You don't need interfacing. I'll get more into that when I make more videos, but all right, sandwiched it. Now we're gonna top stitch at 1/8 again. Now at this point, you should have your top zipper with some holes right here, and in the back, your lining, okay? Top stitched. Now we're going to take our lining, ma'am. Don't mind my daughter. Take your linings, put those together, and take your exteriors and put those together, and open your zipper. Okay, now you should have this. We're gonna take our linings. First, open your zipper. Open your zipper till about in the middle so you don't sew over it. Take your linings and exteriors and put them right sides together. Now with the inside, we want the tab to push towards the lining, because if you think about it, the lining is gonna go inside of your exterior. So we want it to do this U shape. So we're gonna push it towards our lining. The inside open towards the lining, not the exterior. Do that on both sides. I like to do that first. Then get your linings centered and clip her down, clip her down, clip her good. It all should fit together really well if you did the right measurements, made them all even. Now what we're gonna do is, I've already marked here 2 lines. You wanna leave a big gap, big enough to where you can pull it all through. Mine is made of vinyl, so it's gonna be kind of tricky. So I always do about the same size on each side. We're gonna start from here, we're gonna sew all the way around. When we sew past our zipper tabs, we're not gonna sew over them, we're just gonna sew right next to them. That's why we made this huge gap, so we can sew right next to that, not catching the zipper tab. We're gonna go all the way around, get back to this mark, and stop. Let's do that now. Sew that at about 1/4 inch. Remember, start at your mark, 1/4 inch, seam allowance, back stitch at the beginning and the end. And we're just going all the way around. I always do so a little bit closer than 1/4 inch on the lining, because you always want a lining that's going to be a drop-in lining like we're doing, to be a tad bit smaller so it'll fit better. That's up to you. You can just sew it the same length, but I do get a little bit closer to the inside on the lining because of the way that it fits at the end. All right, now I'm coming up to my zipper tab. Remember, we're not going to sew over the tab at all. We're just going to stay right on the edge, leaving a little gap. And I took it nice and slow so it catches it, and I back stitch also just to make it firm. Now I'm getting to the exterior, so I'm going to go back to 1/4 inch. Going around the exterior all the way down on this end. Okay, now we're going around the last edge. Remember, zipper tab, do not sew over that. Lining should be messed up. I'm going back to a bigger seam allowance because it's my lining. Coming up to that 1/4. And remember, we're leaving a gap, so I'm only going to that mark I made. Back stitch and cut. Cut your threads. Next step. This is where I like to use my peek shears because they help for turning stuff around. If you don't have any of these, you can just cut your seam allowance down, and when you cut your corners, cut like this without getting the, without catching the, your thread. And this is just gonna make it feel good when it's turned. It'll lay flatter. And I kind of just hit the corners myself with these. I'm so excited because my grandmother, rest in peace to her, she used to love sewing. I know she'd be proud of me today. But my aunt let me go through her stuff, and she had some of these, and I was just about to buy some, and I was like, ah, thank you, God. So I'm so happy to have these. These help really, they really do help when you're making a bag, especially making bags, and you have a lot of thick fabrics that you like to use. These are amazing. All right, catch all my corners so they are nice and pretty. All right, now the fun part. Let's turn her through. You should have left your zipper open for this reason. And I like to just take one corner and stick it down, pulling it through, okay? And then stick the other one, and I'm pulling it from the inside. And I just lightly go like this and start pulling until the vinyl comes through. And you're pretty much just pulling the lining over. You're not really pulling this, you're just holding this, pulling your lining over it. This is why we left a nice big gap. Okay, now this is where you're gonna need to really put in some arm work. You want to, if this was all, you can make a lot of these out of a lot of just cotton if they're for storage and stuff, but when you want to make a wristlet like this, you really want to poke these through good if you're using a thick material. This is where if you wanted to do a curve, it would be nice too, but I do love a good, nice point. I use a chopstick, but they do have turning tools. I'm gonna grab it. Chopsticks work great, especially this kind, because it's a little thicker on this end and pointy on this end, and it's perfect for my bags when I turn them. All right, so let's get those poked out really good, because once we close this lining and we're finished. Oh, I forgot to add the D-ring tab. Silly me, I knew I was gonna do that. Don't worry, I'll make other videos, y'all. I'm trying to do this video while I have a kid, and it is so freaking hard. But yeah, so let's poke these really good. Let's poke these out really good. Make sure you don't poke through your thread though. Give this a good little press. Now, this is the part where we have to turn our, I like to hold my hand in here, and you're holding the inside of this, right? The seam right here. Do that, grab the seam, and kind of poke it through, okay? You want to poke it through like that, right? And see how it just looks really nice and neat. You have your zipper tab, and it'll look perfectly flush right there. Do that on both sides. And it should do it pretty darn good since we left a nice big gap on both sides. Which, it's up to you. If you don't like to have a little gap like that, then don't do it, do it closer. And you can stick your lining into just to see how she's gonna look. Look at that. So stinking cute, y'all. Adorable. So now we just have to close up our lining. Poke your little corners out. Okay. I knew I was gonna forget that too. You would have just sewed this like this right in here when you went across there, and this would have poked out right here on the edge. Don't worry, if it was a real D-ring I was putting on there, I wouldn't forget, but I was doing it for presentation purposes. That'll be all right. All right, and now what you want to do is pull these, and I like to just go like this right on the edge, and it kind of tucks right under, and get it to where it's nice and even. And it's best to probably clip right in the middle is what I do. Clip right in the middle. And if you need to clip more, you can, but I just pull it out like this. And what I like to do with these kind is I like to kind of just, since it's nice and easy, it's just cotton, I'm gonna go straight across from this end to this end, just to make it look like the whole thing is stitched. I don't really like when my stitching is kind of just like in the middle, because if they look in it, I mean, nobody's gonna notice this part, guys. But yeah, so we're gonna top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch. I got my lining. I'm gonna stick her right where I want her, right at 1/8. Pulling it. Good. Make sure you get everything in there and it's nice and perfectly together. And we're just going to sew it closed. And I like the white thread with this pink because you really can't even see it. It's best to go with a coordinating thread color, I think. And you can blind stitch this also. I'm not a fan of it because I sew with a machine. But if you want a nice, good, clean finish, oh yeah, blind stitching is the way to go. Back stitch at the beginning and the end. Now I have my lining closed. Right on the edge. Nice and flush. Okay guys, we are all done. Now we're gonna stick our lining in. And I like to go like this. I like to open it and stick my fingers in the corners like that, so it gets the lining perfectly in there. Okay, and kind of like push down, just flattening it out. Flatten it out with the bag, and look how cute this stinking zipper pouch is. Oh my goodness. It looks amazing. It is adorable. I love it. Perfect size. And now we have 3 different sizes. Cute. So it's a smaller size than my like regular size. This finishing size should be 7 inches by 9 inches. So perfect, easy. It's perfect for scraps. If you have scraps that you know you want to use for quilting, or just any scraps period. You could do long scraps this way and you quilt it together. You can add batting to make it thicker. It is a super easy, fun project. You can make these for your nieces, your nephews, if you have children. These are great for storage. You can make them bigger. You can make them smaller. You can make them as big as this. You can put clothes in it. You can add a wristlet to it. I'm going to show you how I make some of the wristlets that I made in my other videos, like these. They are cornered at the bottom, so they have a little bit of depth in the body. This is a regular zipper pouch with a front panel. It's fully lined as well. So I will be making a tutorial on how I make these and how I make them from scratch and how I make the wristlet. And thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and meet me back here and we'll sew that up. Bye.